Well, hello, Nativity Bible heads. It is Dr. Wayne, and this is Sunday Morning Power Bible Study. Yeah, we're in the third Sunday in Lent, and the passages today are from Exodus chapter 20, which should be like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's the Ten Commandments. Yeah, you're right. Exodus chapter 20, we're going to be Psalm 19, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, just a few verses there, and then John chapter 2. We're going to get right to it today. I want you to understand something about our lectionary texts, though. Occasionally, they are called and put together in that way. I mean, this is a lectionary that's been around for, I don't know, over 40 years. 50, 60 years. They did it in the 60s or 70s, something like that. Sometimes they all build on a theme, and sometimes they are something whereby they build from the beginning, first reading, all the way to the gospel reading. I'm going to read them in that order today. Maybe not the gospel last. Maybe I will read the actual... I'm going to read them. It's going to be like in chronological order. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like in chronological order because I think it makes more sense. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. I'm going to try and read through the whole thing and then do the commentary on each one as opposed to what I normally do, which is I interrupt them. Okay, here we go. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Then God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. For 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. That is the first lesson. So, of course, this is the Ten Commandments, right? A couple of things about the Ten Commandments. If you notice, they finish kind of in a flurry of stuff that deals with relating to each other. You know, the very simple ones. Honor your father and mother, and it does give a short little, so that your days may be long, blah, blah, but that's actually shorter than the explanations we were getting earlier, right? But we don't get any commentary on no murder, no adultery, no stealing, no bearing false witness, no coveting. Except for in coveting, that's like, and that means everything. Okay, the first four are the ones that deal with God. The final six are the ones that deal with each other. Now, in the context of Lent, the commandments are they're like the kindergarten thing. We relate to each other as infants. And at the beginning of our faith journey. The Ten Commandments are important in that, they're kind of like those things that you would put on a baby bib that you wrap around the baby and it says something, that's cute. The Ten Commandments aren't the be-all, end-all of morality. They aren't the last word on really anything. They are more the first salvo of a conversation about everything. Not all of there are many laws when we talk about the law of Israel. There are many laws, many things that they said that you can and cannot do. The Ten Commandments are what we call apodictic, apodictic, apodictic. There's also the casuistic, okay? The casuistic law is the stuff like, well, if it's the Sabbath and somebody's ox falls in your well, that kind of thing, where it takes case-by-case study. So there's a lot of laws, a lot of instruction in the Old Testament, and they're designed to give a basic order to society. It is not intended, and especially the apodictic law here, is not intended to be the be-all, end-all of anything. It's just an opening salvo. And as it turns out, they are an opening salvo for the whole conversation for what it is that we do to how do we properly respond to God? Well, we're going to move on because I want you to see how this fits in the whole flow of things. In the Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. It's obvious that the psalmist here is kind of talking about creation here. One day tells its tale to another, and one night imparts knowledge to another. Although they have no words or language, and their voices are not heard, their sound has gone out into all lands, and their message to the ends of the world. In the deep has he set a pavilion for the sun. It comes forth like a bridegroom out of his chamber. It rejoices like a champion to run its course. It goes forth from the uttermost edge of the heavens and runs about to the end of it again. Nothing is hidden from its burning heat. So all those first 6 verses are a poetic description of honoring God as creator. And now the psalmist is going to shift gears in verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect and revives the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure and gives wisdom to the innocent. The law, remember we were just talking about that with regard to the Genesis, the Ten Commandments, the apodictic law, the casuistic law, all of the instruction that we have. Verse 8, the statutes of the Lord are just and rejoice the heart. The commandment of the Lord is clear and gives light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean and endures forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, much more than fine gold, sweeter far than honey in the comb. Here we see the psalmist is appreciating the law, but this is no kindergarten understanding of the law. The law is simply do this, don't do that. Why? Because we're trying to keep you alive long enough so you can grow to actually appreciate life and make decisions for yourselves. This psalmist here is expressing a more mature respect for instruction like that, and seeing, getting the value of it. The statutes of the Lord are just and rejoice the heart. The commandment of the Lord is clear. It gives light to the eyes. It's like celebrating it, right? Verse 11, and then he turns inward. By them, talking about the law, the word, by them also is your servant enlightened. And in keeping them, there is great reward. It's like something that you come to, I don't know when we come to it exactly in life, but it's usually not when we're a teenager, and it's usually not, it depends on how fast we mature in life. But this person has matured and really got to the point of, wow, that was really some good advice. It's probably that point at which, those books that were like, all I never needed to learn in life, I was taught in kindergarten. And then it lists these things like, say please and thank you and wash your hands and be polite, stuff like that. It's kind of like that. It's like when you come to that age where you appreciate all of that. Verse 12, who can tell how often he offends? Cleanse me from my secret faults. Above all, keep your servant from presumptuous sins. Let them not get dominion over me. Then shall I be whole and sound and innocent of a great offense. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. I say that at the beginning of my sermons. And he turns inward at the end and says, and he prays to God, saying, you know what? I know that even though I love your law, the law is great, the law is awesome, but you know what? And just because I say that doesn't make me perfect. Doesn't mean that I might not be aware of sin. So it's a way of being humble before God and not standing up and saying, well, I'm so proud that I kept all these laws. No, it's not that at all. It's just the opposite. It's having faith in God's grace that he is still, that he gets to live this life knowing that God's law is determinative, okay? All right, now remember I'm doing in chronological order in terms of the not the writings necessarily, but the incidents that they portray. And in John chapter 2, so we're switching to the gospel now. In John chapter 2, it's verses 13 to 22. And why is it next? Because it represents, because it shows us the cleansing of the temple in the Gospel of John under Jesus' ministry. And then we'll do Paul's passage after that. John chapter 2, verses 13 to 22. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple, he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove all of them out of the temple, both the sheep and the cattle. He also poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. He told those who were selling the doves, "Take these things out of here. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "This temple's been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 6 days, or 3 days?" 3 days. But he was speaking of the temple of his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. They believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. I think that the link here is the fact that we get part of it there with that they believe the scripture. We just had the psalmist talking about how much he loved the law, and then we had the law. We see an elevation here in a relation of faith. In what Jesus is doing in the cleansing of the temple is that the stuff around the Old Testament, especially the Ten Commandments, it was believed that those 10 commandments, there was the stones that the replacement stones, remember, because Moses broke the first ones, that they actually were, those tablets were in the tabernacle, in the Ark of the Covenant, in the temple. So Jesus is defending this edifice, this temple, by saying, we've really gone wrong here. The intention of religion, if you want to use the word religion, that's man's invention. That's not Jesus' invention. The intention of religion is for us to try and get to God, and when in reality Christianity is, and the Bible, the message of the Bible is all about God trying to get to us. Yeah, think about that one. So Jesus is going to the mat for that. Hey, what the temple has become a representative of our of religious efforts to get to God, and we've got it all wrong. It's all about as creating a space so that we can experience God and what God is doing. Zeal for my house shall consume me. For your house will consume me. That's got to be the scripture that they're talking about. Very good. So can you see a ratcheting up of this? So it's like we're going beyond just Jesus saying, well, do what the 10 Commandments say. Love the 10 Commandments and let it impact you. No, he's saying there are some places, there's a way we can go wrong in all of this. And one of those ways is what we've done with this temple. We have not honored God. We have not honored his word. We have turned it into a religious festival, and it needs to be back to its original purpose of a place for people to meet God. Okay, all right. Take these things out of here. Okay, all right, last passage is Paul's writing to the 1 Corinthians. Now, whenever we read from 1 Corinthians, the church in Corinth, that's in Greece, what we call Greece now, Paul is dealing with a lot of Greek Christians, a lot of people who had been a part of the religions of the day there, and they're in love with the superstars of that day. Who are the superstars of that day in Greece? Yeah, the philosophers. Those people who were writing things that were really tickled their brain. And Paul's going to refer to them as the debaters of this age. So you're going to see that a little bit, but he's going to contrast the wisdom of that's popular in the world, especially in their part of the world in Greece, because that's who had those were the rock stars, with the wisdom of God. Listen, verses 18 to 25, 1 Corinthians chapter 1. The message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to those who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of our proclamation to save those who believe. For Jews demand signs and Greeks desire wisdom, but we proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength. So in this, we have Paul taking on the wisdom of the age, of what people are clinging to, and he's saying that God's wisdom, see, the idea of the cross being foolishness, it was foolishness. Nobody was interested in that. Not a lot of buyers for that product, okay? What does he say about, the Greeks desire wisdom, the Jews demand signs, but the Jews nor the Greeks, neither one of them demanded we want our hero to die. No, nobody wants to say this is my guy. That guy, you see that guy, that dead guy up there? That's my guy. The cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. Why is that? Because we know what lies on the other side of that, of resurrection. And yes, that was their message. But you know what? People couldn't listen that long. It's like Christ died, he was buried, and he was resurrected. He said, what? He died? Are you saying he died? Yeah, that's what we mean by it's foolish. It's foolishness to those who are perishing. But to those of us who are being saved is the power of God. One of the things he quotes, he says, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise. It's like, so if you look at the movement of these passages from the very beginning, we had kindergarten, and then we had a middle-age appreciation for the law. And then we had Jesus, the temple and all that, where Jesus is making corrections to how we build religion around the law. And then we have this, where the age that we live in, it produces its own little thing of we like this. this is good. This tickles our fancy. And this is Paul's corrective, referring back and saying, no, the way we know God is through this Jesus who was crucified. That's a long way from, oh, the way we know God is by keeping the 10 Commandments. That's because this is like postgraduate type stuff, okay? We will move all the way from kindergarten through middle age to later age corrections, and now this is stuff that you only learn when you are truly at that place where you can appreciate wisdom. And I call it the postdoctorate studies in the history of the faith. That is how these four go together. I know our study's a little short today. I'm on vacation this week, and I wanted to at least get this in for you, even if it was a little shorter than usual. But I thought something would be better than nothing on my vacation Sunday. So that is it. These are our readings for the third Sunday in Lent. Hope that your Lent is continuing to be blessed, and peace.